Welcome everybody to the final installment. Today we're going to go over arrays, particle systems, and a few other cool little things. Not really going to get into structs. There's already a lot of videos, but there's you can learn something cool about how to set up an inventory system with arrays and enums. Okay, so we're going to start off. Just hop in here. Made a few changes since the last video. You can see we got the particle system effect. Just did this to show y'all. Now we got some effects going on here. When we shoot this, stuff's going on now. And we can also press I for our inventory to pop up. And going to reset this. Okay, so got a few new little features. First thing, let's jump in, set up a couple draws here. This is our draw stats, and this is getting displayed down here in your game. I normally like to put them up here. It's just wherever you like it. Down here we got some empty space, so I'm gonna have it here. But you can see if instance exists object player. We're doing this because we're checking his hit points. Because this hit points is an instance variable of object player. So if we don't have this, we can get an error message from when the player is not there. And if he doesn't, if the player's not there, you are dead. And we can also track the attack. The attack is actually coming from the bullets. Same thing, if there's not a bullet there, we'll have an error. So we know the default damage for our bullet was 2. And then we're actually getting the stat bonuses from something created. Okay, so that's our draw event. And this here is our items received. Before we jump into that part, let's take a look at scripts here, and we got an enum. Now remember, scripts are declared on a global level when a game first runs, and this here is what you call an enum. And we're calling this enum items. Then you open up a set of curly braces and you put commas in between. These enums can be a real useful feature for setting up inventories, a lot of other different stuff you can do them with. But there's a little trick to using them for an inventory system that makes it so easy. And this is also how you can save. This is saving with ionize. You can also save with JSON, a lot of different options, text files. But just for a little quick demonstration, we're going to do it in an ini. You need an ini name. This is the name of the ini file. And then if you click here, it tells you the section, save test, the key, armor, and default value. And this is ini read. This is what initially sets it up. And then we want to save to it. You're going to see later there's an ini write. But this here lets us to define our inventory. We can set it up, and if you notice, we got an array here. We got a variable, global items, and we're making it an array. And inside of here, we're using our enums. Global items armor, global items weapon, hit point, attack, defense potion. And for whatever you want in your game, you can make these whatever. You can have a lot of different enums. Do this for multiple different enums, different things. You could add elemental damage, just so much stuff that you could add here. And so this is how we're doing it. Like I said, this is a little quick cheat hack to roll out a real nice quick inventory system. So there's our scripts, our enums, and we also got a new thing, object boosts. We defined it in the enums, but the this will help solve some error messages, but having this in the game is easier for when stuff gets updated because the enums and that script, the enum script, it's only run once at game compile. So if there's any kind of updates, it's not really going to be getting tracked well. Um, so this here, I just like to duplicate it right here. Makes it a little more up to date. It doesn't hurt nothing because it's an I read here as well. It's not changing anything. Um, and then we're also having object boost. If instance exists, object inventory equals false. Key press I. We're going to create a layer, create an instance on a layer, and this is the X and Y coordinates. The instance, the layer, we created a new info layer, and the object inventory. And if we press R, resets our inventory. And when we create it, this is already defined in the script, but like I said, this is actually inside our room, so it helps keep things a little up to date. If you notice, we do have object boosts there in the room. So there's that, and we did some changes to object bullet. As you can see now, when we shoot it, our bullet has a nice little cool effect to it now. When it hits, it explodes. When it shoots, it looks different. And this is all done quick and easy by particle system. You can see now our inventory reset. I had been testing it, building stuff up. So yeah, now we're all back to basics. But this here, if you notice, our creative hint for object bullets changed. This is from the particle system, and we'll hop into that here in a little bit. Another key thing to know about particle systems, always make sure these are getting destroyed. I like to double, triple check. I have it in a destroy event, game end event, room event, outside room event, because these particle systems, they're very nice, but if you do not clean them up, they can exist forever. When I first started playing with these, I actually had one that I temporarily created and lost track of it, and it just kept going on and on and on and on every time I started my game up, even when it was not referenced anymore. So you got to be real careful to clean these particle systems up, or they will exist forever. So be real careful with that. Not many changes to the enemy other than this. This little array inside of an array, this is a cool little trick to have a random choice. This is the different items right now that we've set up in the game, and we're creating a new array. You can see this is not global items, this is just instance variable items that's referencing our enums. And then we're going to create another variable, item choose, instance variable, and then we're going to choose a random from a random item within our array. And when you're working with arrays in this manner, the random, you always want to put -1 at the end of it. You can play around with it to get different results, but this is typically how you want to set it up. And this is going to randomly choose one of these items. And I'm also saving what gets chosen. This is not necessary to actually update the inventory, but this is so we can save the actual one that was just chosen to a variable that can be used to draw what we want. And this here is actually how we add it. This is the our global items, and we're adding item chose plus equals 1 to whatever it is. This is the trick to get the inventory to update from a random selection. This here is very neat little trick. Like I said, this way you can throw in a lot of different random choices. It doesn't have to be these. These could be whatever you want. And this is a cool little trick, an array inside of an array. And you can get real fancy and real complicated with this, but this is just a nice little quick thing to show you just the power that you can do here. And then here, we're actually accessing that INI file again, but this time we're writing to it. Because we don't know which one's going to be chosen. So you can just throw this all in here, and if this, say you got the armor, it's not going to write this because it wasn't chosen. So that's no harm. This way, you know, whichever one gets chosen, it's going to be written and updated. And then here, we created item received. So this is why we did that item choose. Because we're able to keep track. And another cool thing about working with enums, they're number based, so we know whichever one gets chosen. If it's the armor, it's always going to be 0, and we can do it this way, so we can actually know exactly what's going to be shown. Cool little trick to actually display what happened, because it's going to work behind the scenes, but without this right here, you're not going to be able to put a representation on the screen of what happened. I mean, it's going to work behind the scenes, but this makes it actually get shown. Let's see. So, yep, that's that part of the array. And I threw in another little thing. We had him set up at default for just base 10, but this is a cool little trick to add some randomness into your game. Instead of giving him a flat 10 hit points, now he can spawn a random range between 10 and 20. You can do little tricks like this for a lot of different stuff and get some real neat little implications into your game just by throwing in a little simple randomness. And like I said, this is random range. If you look at it, it tells you what it needs. Needs two different inputs, real numbers, 10 and 20. And you want to do iRandom if you look only with integer values. Now, if you just did random range, it does floating points. You can get decimals. For certain situations that could come in handy, but a lot of times if you want like 0 out of 100, it gives you like realistic, almost a 1% chance. But if you add floating point, it adds a lot more to it. So just remember that iRandom is with integers, random range is floating points. And that's really the only thing we've changed there. And you notice we got an object explode. This is our particle system and our object inventory. This is just drawing to the screen. And remember, when you draw text, your X and Y coordinates, it's always going to want 3 things: X, Y, string. And you just play around with these numbers to get them to display where you want. I know for our particular room, it's drawing like here in the 600 areas. There's nothing here. So it's going to display nicely. Them numbers are not going to work for every single game. Depending how your room is set up, these numbers are going to need to be different. Just remember, these are your X coordinates, your Y coordinates. And we talked about it before. X is horizontal, Y is vertical, up and down. Simple graph plotting. And you can always see there towards the bottom left that number that's changing. That shows your current X and Y coordinates. Can be handy for getting text to draw in a certain area. So that's our inventory. And if we press the backspace key, it gets destroyed. That way it just doesn't sit there forever. You can close it out if you want to. Our player, to get those boosts applied, he has a base hit points of 20, but we're going to say for every armor he gets, it's adding 2 more hit points. So we have hit points plus 2 times the number of items. So if you don't have any of them, it's 2 times 0, which is going to be 0, which is going to default back to 20. But anytime you get more, it's going to add to that total. neat little trick, and this doesn't have to be two. It's just what I determined for this. You can make this number whatever you want and get different results in your game. Same thing with our bullet. Um, we did it here on our attack. Attack equals 2 plus 1 times, and I'm saying every weapon that gets added, it increases our attack by 1. Like I said, this is just a base value. You can, in your games, you can make these numbers whatever you want. But just know that this will only get added per disc. So if you don't have any of them, it's not going to change this value. Only when you have more than one. Like I said, these are cool little tricks to start building up certain stats or whatever you need in your game. You can use this for a lot of different functions. It doesn't have to just be for damage or whatever. You can do it in all different types of games. And if you notice in our draw stats, that's how we had to reference them. So that's how all that comes together. And let's take a quick look at the particle systems. Particle systems are real cool. Just remember, you need to be real careful to make sure these things get cleaned up, because if they don't get cleaned up, they can exist on forever. And you just come in here, and over here on this side, we'll just create a new one. Create particle system, and it comes up the default like this. And over here, this is all the different stuff you can change. Particle count is set for 1 by default. See, we move that number up, it's already changed. You can add a delay, an interval, and it starts creating different kind of stuff, different effects. Distribution, linear, Gaussian, inverse Gaussian, shape, rectangle, ellipse, diamond, line, and these are your XY coordinates, width and height. Here you can select from predefined sprites. Click that. We'll show you in another one in a little bit. But if we go to that, it's going to take over the whole thing. And here it's set for spear. You can change it to star, ring, flare. There's so many different options. Explosion, snowflake. We'll put it at explosion for now. And then you can change the color. Set it blue, green, red. And you can already see the effects, and you can add additive changes to color. Sometimes this can give you cool effects, sometimes it can kind of backfire to what you want to do. Life determines how long the particle is there. This is frames. You can change it to 10. See, it's going away quicker. Move it here to 100. And play with all these things for different, you can get a lot of different results. There's so much that you can get into in this particle. And there's tons of things that go more in depth. I'm just going to show you the basics. This is scale, size, and these can have real big results from clicking one thing. And watch what your increment really makes it get big. Your wiggle, speed, gravity, and this is the direction that's showing backwards gravity. You can change it to like forward gravity, any direction you want. Direction, if you want it to like a 360, 0, a 360. kind of starts creating a spin, but with our gravity that is not really helping it. Now we can see we got a little spin going on. Let's set X gravity to nothing. Now we got a little rotation going on here. We can jump our increment up 10, wiggle 5. And just by playing with this, you're getting a lot of different kind of results here. Orientation. So there's so much stuff. You can do subparticles. Be real careful when some of these you set up can really lag your computer out. But go in there, you play with all these settings, you can create a lot of different stuff, get a lot of different effects. We'll show you what happens. We click on library, select particles. There are certain type of particles in here pre-set up. If you click them, it's telling you apply preset, replace the current emitter settings. It's undoable. So if we glue it up now, it's changed everything. And you can, it's like I said, once you select them, it's kind of hard to get out of them. You kind of have to delete it and start over. But then you can choose one of the presets. You can do different stuff with it. See, we kind of already messed that one up. But yeah, that's particle systems. Get in there and play around with them. But another cool thing about particle systems, once you get one set up, to use it different ways in your code, you can copy it to a clipboard. You can use this editor to, get a result that you want visually. Then you can actually copy to the clipboard. And like here, that's why I created an object. And then you come in here and paste that code in. And this here will give you all the same stuff as that other one. What you got to watch out for, part system position. If you're using the emitter, you can do it just to create particles. With the emitter will constantly stream, like I said, and I'm giving very brief intros. The particle system is so complicated. It would be over an hour, 2 hour long tutorial, and you still couldn't cover everything. This, like I said, this is just the very quick basics. And something to pay attention for when you're working with these particle systems. It will come default var. Always like to change down to an instance variable, because that's a temporary variable and it can be real easy to lose these particle systems. And you see our part system position. This is where it happens in the room. But like I said, this is how you post it into an object. To use it in different kind of manners. This is how you can tie it to an object, like we did here. And see, we're cleaning it up. But this is the way you can get it to draw into the room. And see, here we have our part system position, X and Y. This is our explode. So we want it to explode where the bullet hits, because when the bullet hits something, it's destroying. When it destroys itself, collision. When the bullet collides, it's going to create an instance of object explode. And object explode is our particle system. We created this in there. So now that particle system's tied to an object. So where were we at? Bullet. So it's going to create that, destroy the bullet, and then that's going to happen. And our bullet, we have a particle system set up for it as well, to create a little fancy graphics going on our bullet. But if you notice here, there's not an emitter position. A little trick I found, because if the emitters, if you use them in a create event, it's going to be stuck there forever. So a cool little trick, we can have our emitter position in a step event. This is how it's following that bullet the whole way. If we put that in the create event, it's going to be right there at the start of our player. But now this particle system will follow along the path of our bullet by placing it in a step event. With X and Y. Like I said, just play around with this. You can get so many different results, but this was a little trick I found to have that particle effect follow with our bullet. And then when our bullet collides with an enemy, we've already seen it triggers and explode. Same thing here, triggers and explode. But yeah, that's a little quick crash course of the particle systems. And oh, one last thing. The emitter, because I wanted to show you how to time the objects. And you can also put the emitter straight in. It has to be in an assets layer. This room effect, I'll take it out of there and drag in another one. You just create whatever particle system you want and then drag it into the room. And this is where it gets displayed into your room, and it will sit there and run forever. These ones like this, you got to be very careful. Well, these here you don't. These here will be cleared up when the room ends. But just be mindful if you're using them through code. Make sure you're cleaning these up. And you can create whatever kind of particle systems and throw them into the room. Like I said, this one's nothing fancy. I just threw it in there so you can see there's multiple different ways to use these particle systems. Just a couple little things like that will add a little bit of flair to your game. We're going to let the guy die just so you can see you are dead. So now just remember, if we didn't change that, when he died, we would have had a fatal error message from him. And we press I, we can pull up our inventory. Let's get some of these guys so we can see our inventory build up. Hopefully we can get some. I had beefed them up. Oh, we found an armor. And if we notice now, we still got an armor. I had beefed the guy up. That's why I changed their difficulty. Now they're a little tougher. See, now we got our weapon and our attacks going up. And it's still there. When our guy dies, or it's still saving it. And we can also exit the game. We see we have 3 attack. Let's exit it out all the way. Come back in. We still have 3 attack. Like I said, this is a cool little trick. How to do different stuff. I'm not doing anything with the potions here, just to show you that they do build up, that this system will work. Guy killed us. Let's hopefully we can get him again. Let's see here. And see up here, you found 1 hit point potion. So that way you're able to show the people what they're getting out of that. Oh, and one last thing I set up, where if we press the F key, it goes into full screen mode. Press escape to cancel out of it, and you can swap back and forth. Cool little features to have to your people, for them to be able to go toggle between full screen and non-full screen mode. But yep, that's a little crash course into arrays and particle systems. Like I said, there's so much more you can do with the particle systems. But the cool little trick about these enums and arrays, this doesn't have to be for just an inventory, but this is a very easy way to set up an inventory. A little quick hack. You define your enum. Remember, you just type in enum, what the name of the enum is going to be. This one happens to be items. You can name it whatever. You can name it enum player and have whatever you want for that. And you can define as many of these as you want to. And then we're putting that enum inside of an array. It's a cool little thing with these enums. You can tie them into an array. We're creating a global items array, and you can actually save that array. A lot of different ways. INI files, they're not the best way to save, but for a quick crash course, just for demonstration purposes, we did it. For more in-depth stuff, you really want to start looking at a JSON, saving that way. So many tutorials on that, not going to get into it. They cover that. But this little quick hack can be applied to so much. This doesn't happen to be an inventory, but real quick, easy way to nest arrays inside of an arrays and using enums. And then show you again. We come over here to our enemy, and when he dies, we're creating another array, an array called items, and inside this array we have all of our different options. And remember, an array is indicates by these brackets. That's how you set up an array. And you can put all different kind of stuff in an array. It doesn't have to just be enums. You can put strings. You can put other arrays. You can put so much arrays. You can hold so many different kind of values. And here we're creating a variable, and we're getting the random out of this items, and it's getting put into this variable, and then we're saving it here. And this here is just for drawing text purposes. This is where it actually gets updated to the inventory. Items choose is what happens here, and then we're adding that to our global items array. So cool little trick. Like I said, you can use this for a lot of different stuff. Inventories comes real in handy, and hopefully you like it. Like and subscribe. Check me out on Patreon. It's all going to be in the description. Also have a brand new game out, B-Rad's Mystical Journey, over at itch.io. Check it out. The link will be that in the description. Like and subscribe, and hopefully this helps. And let me know if you'd like to see anything else. Have a great day. Thank you.